Welcome back to the channel today. In this video, we're going deep into the story of the 1963 Lincoln penny. Not just its value, but its hidden history, its important details, how to identify the versions that are worth far more than face value, and why some rare high-grade examples can sell for unbelievable amounts of money. If you collect coins, or even if you just enjoy learning about pieces of American history, then this story is going to take you on a journey you'll truly enjoy. Let's start by stepping back into the year 1963. Imagine the United States during that time. President John F. Kennedy was in office, the civil rights movement was gaining strength, and the American economy was booming. People were buying cars, building homes, and spending money. During that year, the Denver Mint struck more than 1.7 billion Lincoln pennies. That's right, billions. These coins were everywhere. In pockets, in cash drawers, in piggy banks, in grocery store registers, in savings jars and kitchens across the country. With so many minted, most people assume the 1963 penny is common, ordinary, and hardly worth more than a cent. And for the average worn-out penny from circulation, that's mostly true. But what collectors know, what everyday treasure hunters are still discovering, is that condition, rarity, errors, and eye appeal can turn an ordinary coin into something extraordinary. The real value comes from quality, mistakes, and survival. Because while billions were made, only a tiny fraction remain in pristine, untouched condition today. The 1963 penny marks the end of an important era in American coinage. Just 1 year later, in 1964, the world changed forever with the assassination of President Kennedy. And 2 years after that, in 1965, the United States Mint removed silver from many of its coins. That makes the 1963 period the end of the classic copper-rich coinage era, which already adds sentimental and historical value for collectors. The design of the 1963 penny is iconic. On the front is the well-known portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909 for the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. On the back are the twin pillars of the Lincoln Memorial, introduced in 1959 to celebrate Lincoln's legacy. If you look closely with a magnifying glass, you can even see the tiny statue of Lincoln sitting in the center of the memorial. Yes, the Mint engraved that level of detail on a 1-cent coin. Now, let's talk value. What makes a coin from 1963 suddenly worth far more than 1 cent? Why do collectors chase certain examples? And how do you know if you might have a valuable one? First, there's condition. In the world of coins, condition is everything. A 1963 penny that has been circulated, scratched, worn down, or kept loose in a drawer for decades is usually worth only a few cents. But if your coin has full luster, strong shine, smooth fields, and clean details, then collectors take notice. A coin that appears freshly minted and untouched by time is what collectors crave. Then there are the grades assigned by professional grading companies like PCGS or NGC. High-grade examples, especially those rated MS 65, MS 66, MS 67, or the extremely rare MS 68, can sell for huge premiums because they are so difficult to find. Even though billions were made, most ended up scratched, dented, or damaged from years of circulation. Imagine this. Out of 1.7 billion coins produced, only a few hundred might remain in pristine gem quality. This rarity multiplies the value rapidly. When collectors compete for the best of the best, auction prices can climb higher than anyone expects. Next come the errors and varieties. The 1963 penny has several kinds of mistakes that make certain examples highly desirable. For example, some coins show die cracks, small raised lines caused by damaged dies. Others have repunched mint marks, where the D-mint mark was accidentally stamped more than once, leaving a shadow or doubling effect. And then there are off-center strikes, broad strikes, and rare planchet errors where the coin was struck on an incorrect piece of metal. These unusual coins can be worth dozens or even hundreds of dollars depending on how dramatic the error is. Collectors love mistakes because they tell a story about how the mint operated, how human errors happened, and how rare each imperfect coin truly is. Now picture this. You're going through an old jar of pennies, maybe leftovers from your parents or grandparents. You dump them on a table, and among the brown, dull pennies, one coin shines with deeper copper color, sharper detail, and stronger edges. That's when the adventure begins. You angle it toward the light. You flip it over. You look for the D-mint mark. You check the fields for scratches. You notice cleaner details on Lincoln's coat, sharper lettering, and a blazing red luster. Suddenly, you're not just holding a coin. You're holding a piece of potential treasure. The story of this coin becomes even more powerful when you consider what 1963 represented. That year was one of transition in America. The world was evolving quickly. Technology was advancing. People were dreaming bigger than ever. These pennies circulated through pockets of workers, soldiers, teachers, farmers, and families. They sat in diners, traveled through highways, and passed between hands of all backgrounds. Some of these coins witnessed everyday transactions. A candy bar, a soda, a newspaper, a bus ride, and some, the lucky few, were saved by collectors early on because they noticed the shine, the quality, or simply wanted to set aside a piece of history. Today, those saved examples are the rare survivors, the ones collectors want most. For anyone watching this video who loves coins or wants to start collecting, the 1960 3D Lincoln penny is a perfect example of how a common-looking coin can hide incredible value. It teaches beginners that history matters, quality matters, attention to detail matters, and it shows experienced collectors that even the modern-era coins still have hidden gems waiting to be discovered. Before we reach the end of this story, imagine for a moment the journey of a single coin. Minted in Denver in 1963. Brand new, bright, red copper color glowing under the mint lights. Dropped into bags, shipped across the country, entering circulation. Passed from hand to hand. Used for small purchases. Maybe spending years forgotten in a drawer. Maybe ending up in a child's collection. Or maybe preserved untouched in a protective sleeve. Decades pass. The world changes, but the coin survives. And now, in the hands of a collector, this little copper treasure becomes something special, something valuable, something worth far more than its face value. And this brings us to the most valuable recorded examples of the 1960 3D penny. Some high-grade certified pieces have surprised collectors in auctions due to their beauty, rare grade, and eye appeal. These exceptional survivors reveal the true potential hidden inside a coin many people ignore. We're diving deep into one of the most interesting modern-era coins ever produced by the United States Mint. A tiny coin that millions of people have touched, spent, saved, dropped, or ignored for decades. A coin that hides secrets only true collectors understand. This is the story of the 1970 Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin with more variations, more minting drama, and more collector demand than people realized. So sit back, relax, and let's travel into a world where copper shines, errors become treasures, and a simple penny becomes a window into history. Our journey begins in the year 1970. America was going through major changes. The Vietnam War, cultural movements, political conflicts, breakthrough inventions, and dramatic shifts in society were shaping an entire generation. While all of that was happening, the United States Mint continued its yearly mission, producing billions of coins that would enter circulation, move through pockets, cash registers, lunch counters, and become part of everyday American life. One of those coins was the 1970 Lincoln penny. But this penny was not just any ordinary cent produced in two major minting locations, loaded with unique design details, carrying real copper content that today's pennies no longer have, and featuring varieties that experts consider some of the most fascinating in Lincoln cent history. The 1970 penny is far more special than most people think. Let's talk about the design first, because the 1970 penny honored a man whose legacy shaped the nation, President Abraham Lincoln. His portrait remained on the obverse, carefully sculpted by Victor David Brenner, the artist whose initials VDB appear faintly near the shoulder on the modern design. The reverse featured the beloved Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo, with tiny detailing so sharp that if you look closely under magnification, you can even see the statue of Lincoln sitting inside the memorial. A design that millions of people never noticed, but coin collectors admired deeply. The year 1970 is also famous among collectors because it was one of the final decades when pennies were made from real copper. Each 1970 penny contains about 95% copper, giving it a heavier feel and a richer color compared to the zinc pennies produced today. That alone increases interest among collectors. But what truly makes this year special are the varieties, the errors, the mint marks, and the small details that turn ordinary cents into valuable collectibles. The 1970 penny came from two main mints, Philadelphia and San Francisco. Philadelphia produced a massive amount of coins, but San Francisco, marked with the small S mint mark, produced several varieties that today are worth serious money. One of the most famous varieties from this year is the 1970s small date and large date combination. These tiny differences might seem invisible to the untrained eye, but experts can immediately tell them apart. And collectors love them. The small date variety is particularly desirable. The shape of the digit 7, the height of the date, and the alignment of the numbers all help identify it. Some enthusiasts spend hours comparing these details under magnification, hoping to find this treasure in old jars of pennies that have been sitting untouched for decades. And believe it or not, people still find them. That's what makes hunting old pennies so exciting. The treasure may be right in your home, inside a container you forgot about years ago, but we can't talk about the 1970 penny without mentioning the rare double die varieties. Doubling occurs when the design on the die shifts slightly during production, causing letters or numbers to appear doubled on the coin. These doubles create some of the most valuable Lincoln pennies in existence. Collectors always keep an eye out for doubling on the word liberty, the motto "In God We Trust," and the date itself. Imagine picking up a penny worth only 1 cent and discovering under a microscope that it contains doubling that transforms it into a valuable collector's item. That is the magic of coins like the 1970 penny. They show us that the tiniest imperfections can bring the biggest rewards. Now let's talk about the condition, because the grade of the coin plays a major role in determining value. A 1970 penny found in your pocket change might be worth only face value, but a perfectly preserved, high-grade example with original shine and crisp detail can be worth far more. Collectors look for pennies with minimal scratches, bright luster, sharp lettering, and a lack of discoloration. These high-grade coins are like time capsules, preserved pieces of history that never circulated. Coin grading services like PCGS and NGC have examined thousands of 1970 pennies, and some mint state examples are extremely hard to find. With every passing year, high-quality originals become rarer because most 1970 pennies were heavily used in circulation. So, when a beautiful example is discovered, collectors compete fiercely to add it to their collections. But what makes the 1970 penny truly exciting for coin hunters is the variety of errors that occurred during minting. Some coins were struck off-center, where part of the design is missing. Others were struck on foreign planchets, meaning they were accidentally minted on the wrong type of metal. There are clipped planchet errors, die cracks, lamination errors where the surface of the coin peels or separates, and misaligned strikes where the design appears shifted. Each error tells a story of something unusual that happened inside the mint during production. And error collectors love these stories. Every mistake becomes a treasure. Now, let's go a bit deeper into why collectors are obsessed with this particular year. The 1970s small date penny has been famous for decades. It's one of the most discussed and studied Lincoln cent varieties. Some collectors focus their entire hobby around finding small date or large date variations. It's a type of treasure hunt where knowledge becomes the key to unlocking value. And here's another fascinating detail. The proof versions of the 1970 pennies, especially those struck in San Francisco, hold significant collector interest. Proof coins are specially made with mirror-like surfaces and extremely sharp details. They were not meant for circulation, but for collectors. Because of their incredible quality, they are often the center of attention when experts talk about rare dates and rare varieties. Now take a moment to imagine the millions of people who handled these coins in 1970. They bought groceries with them. They paid for gasoline. They kept them in piggy banks. Some slipped through cracks in old house floors. Some got lost behind cushions. Some stayed in drawers for decades. And among these billions of pennies lies the possibility of discovering one special coin with a small date variation or a striking error that turns it into something valuable. Coin collectors often say that searching through old pennies is like digging through modern-day treasure. And the 1970 Lincoln penny is one of the perfect examples of that treasure. It carries history, mystery, and potential value. It reminds us that even a tiny object can hold stories larger than life. As we explore the world of rare coins,
अम्मी को नहीं बैठी
one thing becomes clear. Rarity alone does not
अम्मी को नहीं
always
बैठी
determine value. Demand
हाँ
matters
जानिया
just as much, and the 1970 penny has both. The
नहीं
rarity
जाम
of its
क्या नहीं
varieties and the strong demand from
चलाना जा
enthusiasts who want them in their collections. That is why
नहीं
this coin continues to grow in popularity year after year. Collectors across the world admire Lincoln cents not just because of their design, but because each year brings something new to discover. A new variety, a new era, a new story that deepens the mystery and
अम्मी को
historical
नहीं बैठी
significance. And the year 1970 stands
अम्मी को नहीं
as one of the
बैठी
most intriguing chapters
हाँ
in the
जानिया
Lincoln Cent series. So, whether you already have a collection started
नहीं
or you're
जाम क्या
thinking
नहीं
about diving into the hobby, the 1970
चलाना
penny
जा
is one of the best coins to study,
नहीं
search for, and learn from. It teaches collectors to pay attention to small details. It encourages people to look closely at everyday objects. It shows that sometimes value is hidden where you least expect it. Before we end today's video, let's touch on something many of you always
अम्मी को
ask.
नहीं बैठी
What is the value of the 1970 penny
अम्मी
today,
को नहीं
and
बैठी
how much is it worth in the current collector market? We are diving deep into the story, value, hidden history, and huge demand behind the United States of America 1973 mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny coin. This isn't just an old copper penny. It's a window into the past, a collectible piece of numismatic history, and in some rare cases, it can be worth much more than the tiny face value printed on its surface. So sit back, relax, and get ready for a long, detailed, and highly engaging journey into the fascinating universe of the 1973 Lincoln penny. Whether you already collect coins, want to learn how to find valuable pennies in your change, or simply enjoy discovering the mysteries behind America's currency, this video is absolutely for you. Let's begin with the era in which the 1973 Lincoln penny was made. America in the early 1970s was a time of transition. The Vietnam War was still lingering, the Watergate scandal was unfolding, the economy was shifting, and inflation was beginning to rise. Even in the middle of all this, millions of Americans carried pennies in their pockets every single day, never realizing that these coins would later become nostalgic pieces of history. The 1973 Lincoln cent was minted at 3 different locations: the Philadelphia Mint, which used no mint mark, the Denver Mint, marked with a D, and the San Francisco Mint, marked with an S. Each location produced a different number of coins, and each version carries its own unique character and collectible appeal. The obverse of the coin features the classic, iconic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, a design created by Victor David Brennerbach in 1909. Even after more than 60 years of the same design, the image remained sharp and meaningful in 1973. On the reverse is the famous Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo, which was used on the penny from 1959 to 2008. If you look closely at the reverse with a magnifying glass, you can even see the tiny statue of Lincoln inside the memorial. Many collectors love this detail because it showcases the incredible craftsmanship of American coin designs at the time. But now let's talk about the part everyone wants to know. What makes a 1973 Lincoln penny valuable? Why do some of these coins sell for much more than face value? And what should you look for in your spare change? One of the biggest factors is the condition of the coin. In numismatics, quality is everything. Coins that have never been used, known as mint state or MS condition, are always more desirable. If a 1973 penny has been preserved beautifully, with sharp details, glowing luster, and no scratches or dents, collectors are willing to pay significant money for it. A high-grade 1973 penny from the Denver or Philadelphia Mint can sell for impressive amounts at coin auctions. Another major reason some 1973 pennies are worth serious money is due to mint errors. These are mistakes that happened accidentally during the minting process, resulting in rare and unusual coins that collectors absolutely love. For example, some 1973 pennies have double die obverse or double die reverse errors, where the letters or numbers appear shadowed or doubled. A strong double die is extremely valuable. Other errors include off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing because the coin was not properly centered when struck. There are also broad strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, and even coins struck on the wrong metal planchet. The more dramatic the error, the more valuable the coin becomes. Imagine finding a 1973 penny in your change that has a bold double die error or a major off-center strike. That little coin, which most people would ignore, could easily be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars if it's a rare enough variety. Another thing collectors consider is the mint mark. Coins from the San Francisco Mint with an S mint mark, especially proof coins, often bring higher prices. Proof coins are specially made for collectors using polished dies and planchets to create a mirror-like finish. These coins were never intended for circulation, and the 1973 proof pennies from San Francisco are some of the most beautiful examples of Lincoln cents ever produced during the Memorial Reverse era. The mintage numbers also play a huge role in determining value. Even though 1973 pennies were produced in the hundreds of millions, not all of them survived in high quality. The majority of circulated coins were exposed to wear, dirt, and environmental damage. Only a very small percentage remain in pristine mint state condition, and these are the ones collectors aggressively look for. But let's go deeper into the story behind this coin. The Lincoln cent has always been one of America's longest-running and most beloved coin series. It began in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, and it has stayed in circulation longer than any other American coin design. By the time the 1973 penny was minted, the design had already been around for more than 6 decades. Yet, it still held the same warmth, familiarity, and national pride as the day it was first issued. Another reason the 1973 penny holds interest today is due to the changing metal composition. Earlier pennies, before 1982, were made mostly of copper, 95% to be exact. Because copper has value as a metal, older pennies like the 1973 version are becoming increasingly collectible. After 1982, pennies switched to a mostly zinc composition. So every 1973 penny you find is part of that original copper era, making it more desirable for long-term collectors to ask, oh, what does all this mean for you? It means that the next time you sort through your spare change, coin jar, or childhood collection, you should absolutely watch out for 1973 pennies. You never know when you might discover one in an exceptional grade, or with a rare error, or perhaps a special proof version that has been sitting unnoticed for decades. Let's imagine for a moment that you find a perfectly preserved 1973 penny, shining with original mint luster, free from scratches, and struck sharply with strong details. That coin could very well catch the attention of serious collectors and auction bidders. The value can rise quickly, especially for coins graded MS 66, MS 67, or higher. Collectors love coins that look as though they were made yesterday, even if they're more than 50 years old. Beyond the financial value, though, the real magic of the 1973 Lincoln penny lies in the story it tells. It connects us to the past. It reminds us of the craftsmanship, the history, the economy, and the everyday lives of Americans in the early 70s. Every coin is like a tiny time capsule carrying decades of memories. The world of coin collecting is full of surprises. Some people search for years to find the right coin. Others come across a valuable one by complete accident. And with millions of 1973 pennies still floating around America in coin jars, drawers, and old collections, your valuable discovery could be just one lucky moment away. As we come toward the end of our journey, it's important to understand that the true value of the 1973 Lincoln penny goes beyond price guides and auction numbers. Yes, the coin can be worth good money in top grades or with rare errors, and yes, collectors continue to chase these coins every year. But its real value lies in its importance as a piece of American history, art, and culture. Coins like these remind us why numismatics is such a rewarding hobby. It combines knowledge, curiosity, patience, adventure, and the thrill of discovery all into one. Every collector started somewhere, and for many, their first treasure was a simple penny that sparked their fascination for life. That is, whether you own a 1973 penny already, or you're just beginning your search, keep your eyes open. Look closely at your coins. You never know when you might be holding something rare, something beautiful, or something surprisingly valuable. Today's video takes you deep into the world of American numismatics, a journey filled with history, mystery, and the hidden treasures lying quietly in pockets, drawers, and old jars of spare change. Today we uncover the fascinating story behind the United States of America and 1974 D mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin millions of people handled every day without ever realizing the secrets it carries. But for collectors, coin hunters, and treasure seekers like you, this coin tells a much larger story. It's a story of minting history, copper transitions, rare errors, and incredible value potential that most people overlook. So sit back, relax, and get ready to explore everything that makes the 1974 D penny one of the most interesting coins from the Lincoln cent series. The year 1974 stands out as a historic moment in American coinage. While the general public lived their lives normally, the U.S. Mint was under pressure. Rising copper prices were becoming a major issue, and the government needed to find a cheaper metal to keep producing pennies economically. This push toward lower-cost materials created uncertainty and several experiments that have now become legendary in the coin-collecting world. The iconic 1974 aluminum penny was part of this trial, but the regular copper 1974 Lincoln pennies also hold intriguing stories of their own. And the Denver Mint, marked by the famous D mint mark on the coin, produced billions of these cents. Yet not all of them are equal. Even though billions of coins were minted, collectors know that rarity doesn't only depend on how many coins were produced. It also depends on survival condition, minting errors, metal quality, and historical significance. And the 1974 D penny checks all these boxes in surprising ways that let's begin by understanding the design. The obverse side of the 1974 D penny features the familiar bust of Abraham Lincoln, created by sculptor Victor David Brenner. This portrait has been used on the penny since 1909, celebrating the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. On the reverse side is the image of the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo, which has appeared on pennies from 1959 to 2008. The simple yet powerful artwork symbolizes American history and resilience, making even the most common penny a miniature piece of national heritage. But for collectors, it isn't just about appearance. It is about condition, rarity, and the stories behind the metal. For the 1974 D penny, one of the main points of interest is its composition. Despite the government's attempts to shift to aluminum, the 1974 D penny was produced using the traditional bronze alloy, 95% copper and 5% zinc. These coins weigh 3.11 grams and have a diameter of 19 millimeters. But even though millions were struck, only a tiny percentage survive today in pristine condition, and this is where value begins to grow. The Denver Mint is known for producing sharp, well-struck coins, but it is also known for certain errors that collectors chase passionately. With the high-speed production methods used in the 1970s, the chances of mistakes, doubled dies, repunched mint marks, clipped planchets, off-center strikes, die cracks, and more were higher than many realize. Errors bring uniqueness, and uniqueness brings money. A tiny detail like doubling on the date or an unusual mint mark shape can transform a penny worth 1 cent into a coin worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. One of the most hunted varieties for this year is the 1974 D double die obverse. Though extremely rare, this doubling creates a strong visual effect on the lettering, particularly on Liberty or I in God We Trust. Collectors pay serious attention to even the smallest anomalies on these coins. Another sought-after detail is the repunched mint mark. In 1974, mint marks were still punched by hand into the die, not yet machine-produced. This means some coins show a double D or even a triple impression. These variants, when found in high condition, can command impressive premiums. But beyond errors and minting quirks, condition is the true king in determining the value of a 1974 D penny. A circulated penny, the kind you find in pocket change, typically shows wear on Lincoln's cheek, jawline, and hair. The sharper and brighter the details, the more valuable the coin becomes. Collectors prize coins that remain in mint state or uncirculated condition, with no scratches, discoloration, or blemishes. Coins graded MS 65 and above are especially coveted. These coins exhibit full original luster, sharp details, and no major contact marks. They are the true survivors of their era, protected for decades by accident or careful collectors who recognized their potential early on. While most 1974 D pennies are common, The rare ones in extremely high grade fetch the highest prices at auction houses and among private collectors. Now let's talk about why this penny is so intriguing for coin hunters. The 1970s were a period of rapid change for American currency. Inflation was rising, and the cost of producing pennies was becoming a concern. The U.S. Mint's experiments with aluminum and the later debate over switching to a zinc composition created ripples across the coin collecting world. Even though the aluminum penny trials were canceled and almost all examples destroyed, the mystery surrounding them added a layer of fascination to every penny produced that year. In the eyes of collectors, the 1974 D penny carries the energy of that transitional moment. Even today, metal composition plays a role in value. Copper was and is a valuable commodity. A pre-1982 copper penny like the 1974 D actually contains more copper value than its face value, though melting pennies is illegal. What matters for collectors, however, is that copper coins tend to age beautifully. Their color deepens into a rich brown or remains a brilliant red, depending on how they were stored. Coins with full red luster are considered the most valuable in the grading world. But here's where the real excitement kicks in. While ordinary circulated 1974 D pennies are easy to find, the rare high-grade examples can sell for strong prices. Even stronger prices are achieved by error coins or uniquely preserved varieties. Collectors are always searching for that one penny that stands out, the one with exceptional condition or a minting flaw that makes it absolutely unique. These are the coins that turn into treasures. Imagine finding a flawless 1974 D penny with full red luster, sharp strike lines, and no blemishes. For most people, it would look like just another penny. But for experts, it might be a rare top-grade specimen worth serious money. That's the magic of coin collecting. The fun is not only in the value, but in the discovery. The thrill of realizing that a seemingly ordinary coin in your hand carries the history, the artistry, and the hidden worth that others overlooked. The world of coin collecting rewards patience, attention to detail, and knowledge. Whether you inherited a jar of old pennies, discovered a forgotten box of coins, or simply enjoy searching through pocket change, you never know when a valuable treasure will appear. And the 1974 D penny is a perfect example of a coin worth looking for. Collectors also love this penny because it represents the end of an era. Just 8 years later, in 1982, the United States Mint officially switched from copper-based pennies to zinc-based pennies. That means 1974 pennies are among the last years of the classic heavier, copper-rich scent. Many collectors love the look, feel, and sound of these vintage copper coins. They are more durable, more historical, and often more valuable so if you ever come across a 1974 D penny that looks unusually shiny or sharper than normal, hold on to it. If you find one with a double date or a strange mint mark, protect it. And if you discover a high-grade one tucked away in a drawer or coin collection, you may have a hidden treasure that collectors will pay generously for. Every coin tells a story, and this one tells a story of change, craftsmanship, and opportunity. Story is about a coin that millions of Americans used every single day, yet only a small number of collectors truly understood its real potential. The 1995 Lincoln penny may look ordinary at first glance, but as we dig deeper into its history, varieties, minting details, and collector demand, you will discover why some of these coins are now selling for serious money and why coin experts pay close attention to this particular year. Our journey begins with the rich legacy of the Lincoln cent, a coin that has been in circulation for more than a century. First minted in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, it became instantly iconic as the first circulating U.S. coin, featuring a real historical figure rather than a symbolic design. Over time, the Lincoln penny experienced several design updates, metal composition changes, and countless mintage variations. Yet, each year added something special to the story, and 1995 is no exception. During the mid-1990s, the United States Mint was producing billions of pennies every year. The 1995 Lincoln cent was struck in massive numbers at multiple mint locations, which might make you think the coin is too common to be valuable. But coin collectors know that rarity is only one part of the equation. Condition, errors, varieties, die quality, and even minting technology all play important roles in determining a coin's true market worth. To understand why collectors take a second look at the 1995 penny, we first need to explore how these coins were made. In the early 1990s, the mint had already transitioned from bronze to a copper-plated zinc composition. That means each 1995 penny is made of a zinc core with a thin outer layer of copper. While this helped reduce production costs, it also made the coins more vulnerable to certain types of errors and imperfections. Zinc coins can blister, bubble, develop plating issues, and sometimes strike unevenly. Collectors love these unusual features when they appear sharply and dramatically, but one of the biggest reasons the 1995 penny stands out in the coin world is because of the famous double die obverse variety. This doubling occurs when the coin die is misaligned during the hubbing process, causing some of the design elements to appear doubled on the struck coin. The 1995 double die is especially noticeable in the inscriptions, including Liberty and the motto. When this variety was discovered, collectors rushed to look at their pocket change. Suddenly, every 1995 penny became a potential treasure. Although today's script focuses on a general overview of the 1995 penny's value rather than the doubled die specifically, it's impossible to ignore how this discovery changed the coin's reputation. It pushed the 1995 penny from being an everyday coin into being a must-check year for collectors. Even those who had little interest in coins became curious, searching through jars, drawers, and old containers to see if they had a special piece. But mint varieties are not the only factor that matters. When evaluating any 1995 penny, condition is everything. Collectors use the Sheldon grading scale, which ranges from poor to mint state. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin becomes. Finding a 1995 penny in mint condition can be challenging because most were released into circulation immediately. That means they were used, worn down, scratched, or damaged. A penny that has survived almost 30 years without wear is extremely appealing to collectors who want pristine examples for their collections or investment portfolios. A major challenge with modern pennies is that their soft zinc core makes them more vulnerable to scratches and dents. Even a slight flaw can prevent a coin from reaching high grades like MS 66 or MS 67. Coins in those grades represent a very small percentage of the entire mintage. So whenever one appears on the market, collectors get excited. That demand drives prices up, especially during auctions where multiple buyers compete for the same high-quality piece. But what about the mint mark? The year 1995 included coins struck at multiple mints, but the Philadelphia Mint produced the version we are focusing on. Interestingly, Philadelphia minted pennies from this year do not carry a mint mark, which often confuses new collectors. This tradition remained consistent for many years, making the absence of a mint mark a normal identifying feature rather than an error. The Philadelphia Mint is known for producing extremely large quantities of circulating coins. In 1995, it struck hundreds of millions of pennies. Despite those high mintage numbers, certain coins still managed to stand out. When you combine a great strike with strong details, clean fields, and rich copper luster, the result can be a visually stunning piece that collectors will pay a premium for. As we explore the value of the 1995 penny, it's important to understand how the coin market works. Prices do not remain the same forever. They depend on collector demand, rarity, population reports, grading trends, and the overall economy. Some years see an increase in interest for modern coins, pushing prices higher. Other years may bring softer demand, lowering the value temporarily. The beauty of coin collecting is that each piece tells a story, and that story can change over time. Auction results reveal that certain 1995 pennies in exceptional condition have achieved impressive prices. Collectors appreciate the coin's modern design, affordability, and accessibility, but they also value its potential for hidden varieties and errors. Many people enjoy the thrill of searching for these coins in pocket change or old collections. When they finally find a high-grade example, they feel a sense of discovery and excitement, like uncovering a piece of American history. Another interesting aspect of the 1995 penny is its connection to the era it was minted in. The mid-1990s were a time of technological advancement, economic growth, and new cultural influences in the United States. The penny served as a symbol of everyday life during that period. People used it for payphones, arcade games, vending machines, and small purchases that defined the daily experiences of the time. Today, holding a 1995 penny is like holding a tiny piece of nostalgia. Collectors also enjoy studying the fine design elements of the coin. The obverse features the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. Despite being over a century old, the design remains one of the most recognized in American coinage. The reverse features the Lincoln Memorial, created by Frank Gasparo. If you look closely, you can even see a tiny representation of the statue of Lincoln inside the memorial, a detail that amazes many new collectors. The beauty of the Lincoln Cent series is that it includes so many fascinating years, varieties, and historical moments. The 1995 penny is just one chapter in that story, but it is an important one. Its combination of high mintage, special varieties, modern composition, and collector interest makes it a captivating coin worth learning about. Today, coin collectors continue to search for high-grade examples, mint errors, and unique pieces from this year. Whether you're a beginner or an experienced numismatist, the 1995 penny offers something exciting. It's an accessible coin that anyone can look for, yet it can surprise collectors with unexpected value. Even now, people across the world examine their spare change to see if they might have a special piece waiting to be discovered. If you are someone who loves American history, enjoys searching for rare coins, or simply appreciates the beauty of older pocket change, then the 1995 Lincoln penny is a coin worth paying attention to. Its legacy continues to grow, and with more collectors entering the hobby every year, the demand for high-quality examples is stronger than ever. Today, we step into the world of American coinage history and uncover the incredible story, hidden features, and collector value of the United States of America 2001 Mint Mark Lincoln 1 cent penny. This small copper-plated coin might look ordinary at first glance, but the year 2001 holds more secrets, mistakes, and valuable surprises than most people could imagine. If you enjoy learning about coins that can transform a casual pocket find into something worth real money, then you are in the right place. Because today's penny is not just a penny. It is a piece of American history, a product of craftsmanship, and for some lucky collectors, it is a profit-making treasure waiting to be discovered. Let's begin with the background. The 2001 Lincoln penny is part of the long-running series that began in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The portrait of Lincoln that appears on the coin was designed by Victor David Brenner, and even in 2001, the same classic design continued to be used. The obverse features Lincoln's side profile facing right, the inscription Liberty to the left of his portrait, the date 2001 to the right, and the national motto In God We Trust positioned above. The reverse features the iconic Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo in 1959. This reverse design had been used for more than 4 decades until it was retired in 2008. The 2001 penny was minted in extremely high numbers because the penny was still in massive demand across the country. Billions of these coins were produced for circulation. That makes many people assume that no penny from 2001 could ever be valuable. But coin collectors know that value does not always come from rarity and mintage alone. Value comes from condition, mint mark, striking errors, metal quality, and even the smallest imperfections that the human eye might miss, but collectors search for relentlessly. Now let's talk about the mint marks. The 2001 Lincoln penny was produced in 2 major locations: Philadelphia, with no mint mark, and Denver, which uses the D mint mark. Both varieties can be valuable depending on the grade, condition, and errors found on the coin. Even though billions of these coins were minted, only a very small percentage survived in pristine condition. Many were handled roughly, tossed in drawers, rubbed down in pockets, or worn by years of daily transactions. So when a 2001 penny appears in near-perfect mint state condition, collectors take immediate interest. One of the biggest reasons the 2001 penny has become extremely collectible in recent years is because of the rare error coins that appeared that year. Not all pennies were struck perfectly, and those mistakes can turn a dull copper coin into a high-value collectible. One of the most desirable varieties is the off-center strike. These off-center errors occur when a coin is struck incorrectly, causing part of the design to be missing. A 5% off-center strike might earn a little premium, but a 50% off-center coin with a clear mint mark and date can be much more valuable. Another major error to look out for is the double die. A double die occurs when the design is impressed more than once, slightly misaligned, creating doubling on the letters or numbers. On 2001 pennies, experts often check the motto Liberty, the date, and Lincoln's profile for any signs of doubling. If you find any doubling around the letters or fine details of Lincoln's face, that coin could be worth far more than face value. But it doesn't end there. The 2001 Lincoln penny also has known die crack errors. A die crack appears when the die used to strike the coin becomes damaged. This damage leaves raised lines, bumps, or even extra shapes on the surface of the coin. These are usually small but interesting imperfections. Some collectors love these die crack varieties because each one is completely unique. The more dramatic the crack, the more desirable the coin becomes. Another error that collectors love is the broad strike. This happens when the coin is struck outside the metal retaining collar, causing the edges to appear stretched, smooth, or wider than normal. A broad-struck 2001 penny with fully visible details often sells for a high premium. The quality of the strike plays a huge role in determining the value of a 2001 penny. When a coin is freshly minted and preserved properly, it can achieve a grade of mint state 60 or higher. As the grade increases, the value rises exponentially. Coins graded MS68 or MS69 are extremely rare and represent the finest examples ever produced. These coins command high prices in auctions because collectors want the absolute best for their collections. Now let's talk about something many new collectors overlook: luster. Luster refers to the shine that appears on a freshly minted coin. This shine is created by microscopic lines formed during the striking process. Over time, luster fades as the coin is handled. But when you find a 2001 penny with original mint luster, it instantly becomes more desirable. A bright red example, known in grading terms as RD, can be far more valuable than a brown or red-brown version of the same coin. It is also important to consider the coin's eye appeal. This refers to its overall visual attractiveness. Two coins may have the same grade, but one might have better coloration, stronger details, and a more striking appearance. Collectors will always pay more for a coin that stands out visually. This is why cleaning a coin is strongly discouraged. Cleaning damages the surface, removes natural luster, and reduces the value dramatically. A naturally preserved 2001 penny is always worth more than a coin that has been polished or scrubbed. Let's explore the history and context of the year 2001. This was the year that marked the beginning of the 21st century, and American coins from this era carry a cultural significance. The United States Mint was shifting towards new designs on quarters and beginning to modernize coin production. Even though the penny design had not changed, interest in coin collecting was rising due to the popularity of the state quarter program. More eyes were on American coins than ever before, increasing the demand for rare varieties and high-grade examples of all denominations. Now let's discuss the market. The value of the 2001 Lincoln penny has increased over time because collectors have become more interested in modern errors and high-grade mint state coins. Many properly graded examples have sold at auctions and coin shows. The price depends on several factors, including rarity, condition, demand, and certification. Certified coins, especially those graded by major grading companies like PCGS and NGC, always sell for higher prices because collectors trust the accuracy of the grade. If you are someone who wants to check your own 2001 pennies, here are some tips. Start by examining the coin under a high-quality light and magnification. Look closely at the date, mint mark, lettering, and Lincoln's profile. Check for doubling, cracks, extra metal, or missing details. Then examine the reverse for errors on the Lincoln memorial, the steps, and the lettering. Look at the rim, edges, and the overall shape of the coin. Any unusual feature could potentially be valuable. Also check the color. A bright red coin is worth the most, followed by red-brown, and finally brown. Store your valuable coins in protective holders to maintain their condition. Avoid touching the surface with your fingers. Use gloves or hold the coin by its edges. If you find a coin that looks exceptional, consider having it graded. Graded coins often sell for much higher prices than ungraded examples. Collectors have reported strong prices for rare 2001 pennies with dramatic errors and high mint state grades. And now we reach the highlight of today's video, the moment that coin enthusiasts wait for. Among all the varieties and conditions, the rarest and most desirable 2001 Lincoln penny reached an impressive value at auction, and that amount is $22,255.